Hello, today is another day, and let's do this again. I'll cut that out. All right, hello, today is another day, and it is about the 1933 Dodge 5-window coupe. And what I'm going to be doing today on it is I'm going to be continuing on repairing the paint, the car, to get it ready for paint. Now as I zoom in on a couple of spots that are going to be in focus today, and one is on the roof, because the last segment showed this peeling off. But before I get deeper into this, which I hope that it doesn't spread throughout the top of the car, but now that I have the clips for the hood, that's going to be my focus first. Mount the hood, put the cab back down where it belongs on the frame, and once all this is together, put the cross braces in, then hopefully I won't have to do too much cutting or fabricating on that hood. And once that is set, then I'm going to continue with that mess up there. So once all that is moving along, I'm going to show some shots on what it took to do this part of the hood, and then move on from there. But like I said, the first thing I got to do is actually jack up the cabin and then bring it down to where it belongs, and then get started on that. So until then, stand by. I'm back. I'm going to share a little bit of information with you. The cab is down, and I've been setting up the strut rods that go off the front of the firewall, and they go out to the radiator support, the whole outer housing. And I'm dealing with them, and the one thing that I'm doing is I'm changing the original location that the other person had them at, which in my behalf, it doesn't work accurate enough to make the proper adjustment for the nose, and I'll show you that. And with all that being said, I was dry fitting the brackets. So the next thing I have to do in order to make the brackets work well, everything line up, I have to make sure that both halves of the hood are cut the same, and they're not. There's a fair amount of difference, which will make a difference on the firewall as far as also the piece in the front where the grill is. On that side, it's off 3/16 of an inch towards the hinge, and as it rides up to the curve, and then it graduates to it being even. On this side, and actually the bottom of the two is where that has to be cut. Now on the front side, it's the opposite. The top has to be cut, and the bottom doesn't. But I'm going to do one side at a time. But the one thing I wanted to show you, good old Ace Hardware. They're close by in comparison for me to go out to a place that I normally use to get the hardware, and I believe they have chrome and stainless. But to go out that far, spend that much time on the road, and to come back, to save the difference, sometimes it's not worth it. But if you're buying a larger volume, then it is. So let me show you a little handful of small hardware, mind you. I'm telling you, it fits literally in the palm of your hands. If I counted the stainless bolts, they're tapered. That's the way they need for it to work on there. And the two thin profile nuts, 7/16 fine thread. So these few items, very few, was actually $22, just under. I round up to $22. That's a lot. Then I know metal has gone a crazy amount of money. I needed a piece of 1/4 inch thick by 3 inches by 3 feet. So I can cut 2 pieces out, and I'm going to explain that to you as soon as that air compressor shuts off. But in the meantime, I did receive the body mounts. Hallelujah. Get over there. Alright, the noise is gone. This is 3/16 of an inch thick, which I really needed a 1/4 inch thick, but they didn't have it. But it is 3 inches wide and it is 3 feet long. This piece alone was almost $39. That is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I needed it because, I'm about to show you, here in the front of the vehicle, when we took the engine out, the radiator and everything out, well, we had to remove, lift this up a little bit, we'll bring it back. We had to remove this fiberglass piece right here. And in doing so, the front fenders being bolted down to the frame relaxed to a certain position. And in doing so, when we tried to put the front nose piece back on, we noticed there would be too much force to bring these two fenders in. That means it's not where it belonged. A filler would go in here. That's what I'm going to do because that's what I would have done. Let me adjust this. So, in saying that, I felt as though a 1/4 inch would be just enough to make that happen. So it's a total of a 1/2 inch that these fenders will relax. 1/4 inch on that side and a 1/4 inch on this side. To make it look like it belonged there, I'm going to take this 3 inch piece of steel and I'm probably going to donate another 1/8 inch flat steel to go with this because it could even have used 5/16 on either side based on the gap that's left here. And this actually is drawn in a little bit. So what I plan on doing from this point right here where the curve starts at the fender and goes down and where it comes back out, so it sticks out, swoops in, and comes back out, there's like 2 3/4 of an inch measurement. So 3 inch would be appropriate. And I'm going to trace that same pattern that the fender and the centerpiece has. And I'm going to trace it on the metal on both sides and I'm going to cut it out. And then I'll paint it, prep it and paint it the same color as the car. There is a piece of piping that goes between it, and that's this thing right here. These belong here, and I have new stuff on the way, and it'll be black, and that will go back in there. But I'm just showing you what actually takes up, well, this don't really take up any space. Sheesh, that's like the thickness of a matchbook. But nevertheless, I'm going to make that happen so that when the front end goes back together, it fits more appropriate the way it should, because there are a lot of stress cracks here in the front of these fenders here, and they're fiberglass. And it's more prominent on this one. So it tells me right there was too much torque being pulled from one side to the other. So I plan on fixing that problem by adding probably, which will end up being nothing less than a 1/4 inch, but maybe 5/16 of an inch thick to the inside of both sides of this centerpiece. So that's the reason why I had to buy this, but it ends up being 32 inches total because it's 16 inches for both sides, 32 inches long. Well, this is 36. That's how you buy it. So the 4 inches that's left, you know, maybe I'll end up having to use it somewhere else, but I doubt it. But I couldn't believe almost $40 for this piece. And I know metal went up because it went up right after I got done building that custom trailer. And hallelujah and thank God that I did it when I did. Because it would have been triple the amount of money to build that trailer from what I spent. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to cut the roof so that it fits better over there, and cut the other side so that it fits over here in the front. And then I'm going to take a measurement. I've already made this come out a little bit. You can see the clamp there. I made adjustments. But it needs to come a little bit more because the centerpiece, where it hinges, rides up way too high. And that means there wasn't enough space provided, and that's why the hood fit the way it did, which was horrible. It fit horrible, but I got to make it better. I got to make it better before I take this thing apart and, move on with it. So I'm going to make sure both sides of that hood, front to back, are a match on both sides. And then I'm going to take a proper measurement that I need to space this piece to go towards the camera enough so I have a comfortable gap here at the body line at the top. The same thing over here on the front of that plastic piece. So that's the plan, and that's why I needed the thin profile nuts, because the thicker ones were too thick. It was going to push this nose too far forward, and I couldn't have that. And they don't have washers that would fit the threaded area and stop where this rod gets a little bigger. They're either too small or too big. So they do sell thin profile nuts. So they had the size, and I got 2 of them because that's all I need. And that's what I'm going to use, where this rod goes into the sleeve back here, and then I'm able to adjust make sure that it's even on both sides. Now, the other reason why I decided to add the metal here, but because before we took the engine out, I tried to square this nose up with the firewall. So even though I had a proper measurement from right side to the left side, it didn't look like it was sitting level. It still looked like it was cocked. So I couldn't create the right effect. But once it was disconnected and it's just put together, it's not bolted tight. As you can see the gap, I'll focus in on that. I was able to square up this nose measurement-wise, and it looked level going across. One side didn't seem to, pass the point of comfort. So I'm going to bring you in. You'll be able to see the gap on that side as well as that side, and that is a comfortable fit between the left and the right. And that allowed for this thing to be equal with the firewall as I look past the point and match them up. And that's important. So hopefully if someone's doing this, they take some key points I just pointed out and apply it to their car. Hopefully, maybe not. And, make it work for them and be the way it should be. So you don't end up with stress cracks and unevenness, the thing not being square to the firewall, and anything else that might have happened. So I'm going to get on that and get those done. And once I have everything the way I want it, and that's cut, I'll get back to you and show you. So stand by. I'll be back. Okay, I thought I'd show you a little bit of what's being evened up on the hood. And hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. I put a black mark there, and I followed it up, and I grabbed the grinder. I didn't want to cut it. It would create too much heat and start to blister the finish. Not that I couldn't fix it, But this is I think a safer way with this type of pad on there to even this out. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put you on a stand and you could watch for a moment and see what I'm talking about. I'm not hitting it hard. I don't want to create that kind of heat. And this way I won't go too fast, too far. Oh, all right. Well, that's all done on this side. I sure still got green there. It's nice and even all the way through. Now, it seems like because it did fade out, that I'm imagining and hoping that the ends here are the same. I can only go by what the rest of it has showed me and it being even as it came towards the top. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side and even that up. So I've got to flip the hood over. And then once I've set everything else up, then I could, remove the rust that's on this hood here because it is blistering through. Take off all the white, whatever this stuff is. Take all this stuff off and go from there. So until then, now you got an idea. Stand by and I'll be back when the other side is done and show you what happened. Alright, I'm back and I'm about to show you my achievement. Yeah, I have it clamped here because I want it to stay there to keep an accurate body line. And the green tape indicated where it needed to be cut. So I just pushed it down past the point of that. I have somewhat of what I'm going to be making for this to weld it to the side of the panel here. And the reason why the tape was there because there was a large excess of material that needed to come off to follow the same line all the way through. And I do have it bolted down, anchored down with the clip. I have tape over it to keep it in place at the time. And I got two of the fasteners there, holding that right in the center and keeping the same line on this side and the tape indicating where it had to be cut. So this side had a lot more that had to be cut, but it was necessary. The hood's well over 90 years old. What it was done back then, and the hood never even fit at all. Not at all did it fit. So I've taken it from keeping the right structure, right plane. Same thing with the fiberglass nose piece, keeping the very similar line all the way around to the front, and the same thing with the back. So big improvement. My props, the chrome rods are in place as well, and you can see them there, right to here, and they're bolted in and adjusted. So the only spot left that has to be screwed down, bolted down, or what have you, is that far end over there. So, but I needed to get all this done first, and so this way I can move forward. And I'm very happy with the way that sits now. So what I'm going to do now is make some marks where I need to put these pieces and have it up there where it belongs, because I've expressed in, I think, a prior video that no matter what I do to this, I can't get it to relax to where it will comfortably close nicely without hitting anything on its own. So I got to do something to reinforce and latch in to where the side panel would have latched in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that happen next for both sides. And once that is done and set, then I'll be able to show you just how far I achieved that. And just sitting back and just looking at that nose, I think it's awesome. I really do. That's definitely my opinion. And besides the owner's opinion, I believe it'll match mine. That's all that matters. As far as I'm concerned, baby, that's what matters. But there it is. It's awesome. Yep. Now, let me get back to doing it, because I can't get it done by talking to you guys. So, stand by. Hello, and today is another day, and we're still on the 33 Coupe. Actually, it's the next day, and made some good progress. I'm really, really happy on the way this hood is turning out. So, yesterday I showed that I had to make brackets. I think I'm going to bring you to them and then show you some other stuff that I came up with to finish the whole nose of this, because I did talk about the front fenders having stress cracks because of the spacing. So let me bring you to that. Yep, as you can see, and the nice spacing. The green tape was for me to see it easier when it came to cutting and following the actual front of the, or the top of the firewall. You know, the green, this way I could see it better than using the same color tape. See what I mean? So that's the reason why there's green on there, so I could follow and cut, and I did the same thing on the right side. So temporarily right now I have this clamp there. I just looked up some latches, and hopefully I'll be able to get what I want in order to be able to latch the nose of this down. So I'm going to show you what else I was able to do. See, when the client goes to open or close the hood, a little pressure has to come towards the individual, just a little bit. Maybe with this side, there we go. It's not hard. And I was able to bolt down the top easy enough. There was actually, you see these little dimples, I'm pretty sure you can see them. Well, there were two on either side. So I drilled them out, come to find out that there was a nut welded to the underside of this, which worked out awesome. Quarter 20, I re-tapped the holes and was able to use the correct fastener. Within reason, they're stainless, so hopefully they won't rust. And now you can see how this is. It's got basically a shelf, a hook, whatever, and it goes up into the, I don't know, I guess this was a hinge at one point for the side panel. I got it spaced just right for this to hook up in there, and the rods are in place. They are bolted in temporarily, and the front is also bolted down, and that is done on both sides. So when it's closed, you probably even heard a little bit of the latch take place on that. And this is how it is normally sticking out, and that's not the way it's going to end up being, and that's why you can see why I put the clamp there. So I need two hands to do this part and then do that. So I have to send a little message to that phone call and get back to this. So both sides are done. So it's a matter of just clean up the welds a little bit more on this one and that, and then I'm going to just feather it all in, and it's going to be awesome. It really is. I am really happy with the way this turned out. So the next thing I started doing, I mentioned the gaps. You can see it's pretty big right there, and it's not as big, but it needs to be, they'll be centered. So I got the metal, it's 3 inches. It could have been a little wider, but it's all the store had it, and I used a piece of cardboard for a template. And this template I made to go from the underside and come up, and it's the same curve on both sides for the fender and this fiberglass piece. So I did transfer it to here, and I will cut it out and do 2 of them, and I'll have enough material to do that. And then I'm going to find another piece. I'm pretty sure I have some more, not this kind of material as far as the thickness, but I need it thicker because this is only 3/16 and I wanted 1/4 inch, but they didn't have 1/4 inch. So I took what they had, knowing I can put another piece alongside of it to make it thicker. So that's next. I'm going to cut that out, make sure it fits really nice, and once it's all done, then obviously when it comes time, I will prime them. When I do the body work on that and prime that, then I'll prime them and get them ready for paint. And once this nose is completed and I'm real happy with everything, then I'm going to finish sanding the rest of the car down, get it ready for paint, remove anything that's in the way, like the headlights, the taillights, and then I will have to take the car apart. Take the fenders off, the running boards, all of it's got to come off, and get it ready for paint. I'll have to clean up the frame, do all that stuff. So in the meantime, I'm going to get busy on that, and this way I can finish that. That's the scoop, that's the plan, so stand by. I'm back, and all is well on this, on the nose of this car, and there just went Puss in Boots. Yeah, she just snuck in behind the car. Yep, there was a tail, hopefully you caught it. But the nose is complete, other than using my welding clamps until the order comes in for those old style hood latches. All I'll have to do then is figure out how they're going to be mounted. Most likely the hardcore of it, the base will be on here, and then the little latch will be on here, as far as I could tell anyway. So all is done. My lines are really nice. I made my pieces like I spoke of, and between the piece that I donated and the one that was bought, I got 5/16 of an inch gap, or I should say plate, that I made, and there it is on both sides, evenly done. I'm really happy about the turnout of it, and it just goes together so much nicer. The sides of this fiberglass piece isn't rubbing on the top of the fender like it was on both sides, actually, because now the nose of this, or the top of it, is forward. I got all the bracing in, and those are in, and of course they're going to come apart so they can be painted, and those things there, but new ones, black ones, will be going there. Yeah, that I'm really satisfied, very happy, as a matter of fact, on the turnout of it. It just even looks more stout. It feels stout, it really is, and everything is finished up. Tomorrow is another day, and I'll body everything in, take care of that, both sides, and just take care of all of it. And then once I do that, and I go to spray the primer, then those pieces will have to come out, and I'll prime them up as well. But it's really nice. I'm really happy. And tomorrow I'll do some disassembly with the lights. But I'll be able to get started now on really sanding everything down and move it along. And that'll be that. You know, it's come a long way in a short period of time, but I'm really satisfied with the way that is. It just, I don't know what it is about it, but it just looks so much stronger, so much better than the way it was before when I got it. So tomorrow's another day, and I'll definitely zoom in on all what's being done tomorrow. But until then, peace out, and tomorrow. It's the next day, actually the end of the next day, and today had a fulfilling day working on the 33 Dodge 5-window coupe. So let me show you. Start with the other side, being that the hood is open. Took care of blending the bracket in to the side here, as you can see. And you see that mess on the floor, all the paint, peelings, chippings, and even on there. That is because I had to remove more on this side of the roof, between blowing the air on it and then taking the little scraper blade wherever that might have went. But I had to make sure that I got all the loose ends off, and then I took some heavy sandpaper over it, and then I put, some people call it icing, but it's just a real fine final glaze. It's super thin, and it was to fill in all the little nicks and so forth that ended up happening and flattening it out better. So that's that side. And we have Puss in Boots in the house. There she is. I believe she wants to eat some more, as always. So hey, let me latch this back so you can see how it goes. You pull out a little bit and it drops right in. Drops right into place. Really nice. Here, I'm waiting on the hooks. I know they're ordered because you see how this is laid up. Well, it can't be like that. So, the cat's looking at me. She's going to give me a little paw pat. Watch. Ooh, she picked it up. She knew I was fast. So I'm going to reach in here and put some food in her bowl for her. Right, Puss in Boots? Yes, kitty. Yep, and there she goes. So, I will undo this side, and then lift this side up. Alrighty, and then you get the full effect of this side being blended in. And I went further and I sanded the heavy primer that I put on there to finish it off all the way around the rocker. You know, all the paper's still hanging. But it is now ready for me to put another layer of primer over it and make sure I seal it up really nice. See how that wants to hit? See, that shouldn't be doing that, but that's the way this hood is made. So it's the reason why I came up with that. And see, you can, I think I know I heard it kind of latch in. And then once those hooks come and they're actually made for this, and it was part of the character of all these style cars, Ford, Chevy, and obviously Dodge. So, and actually 4 of them are coming. So, for now, so it stays the way I want to see it, that's what I use, those little clamps right there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to shooting a little bit of primer over this, making it nice, getting it ready, and hopefully that's it for like any major body work. I didn't think I would have to take the top that far, but I did, just to be sure, and where it stopped scraping and peeling off, and if the air wasn't able to get underneath it and pop it, I knew I was good, and that's where it ended. So next, tomorrow will be primer on all this stuff. I'll have to paper everything off, cover it up real good, and then shoot the primer. And after that, what else is there? Yeah, I keep mentioning taking off the headlights. I haven't gotten around with that because the other stuff is more important. But once that primer dries, I will have to sand it and then finish sanding it with 400 along with the rest of the car and get that much done. And I don't believe there's anything else anywhere else. I really didn't examine the trunk. Kitty's licking her chops. She's a happy little kitty. Yeah, she's just hanging out. She's looking around, licking her paws. She's kind of washing her face too. She cracks me up. I love when she gives me the paw pat when I don't pet her long enough. But anywho, hopefully there's nothing wrong with the trunk deck. Hopefully not. But this is that for now. And tomorrow will be another day. Actually, the client's coming tomorrow. So I go over some stuff. And we'll move along. So until then, peace out. Tomorrow's another day. Okay, well, I'm back. And it is Wednesday evening. I did show things and talk about what's been done so far. And I believe this is going to end this segment of the videos that I've been obviously collecting over the course of the past few days. So tomorrow being Thursday, I usually post one on Thursday and one on Sunday, like I've said many times before. So tomorrow morning, I'll be at the computer and doing all the editing to hopefully show something decent. I hope you all following along and you like it. Maybe you're learning something. Maybe there's not enough actually to really learn. But I'm just showing the progress of this 33 Dodge 5-window coupe. And it's pretty much what it boils down to. And I do appreciate people watching. You know, if you can subscribe. If you've been watching and you haven't subscribed yet, that would be great. And everybody says that when they're doing a YouTube channel is because we have to hit a certain level. And I'm sure you know that. And I am nowhere near that level. Even though I've been at it probably 8 months, 9 months. It's not been a year yet. But it's getting there, and I'm nowhere near that. And that's fine and dandy. I'm going to keep doing it anyway. But it would be nice if I had all those subscribers, especially for all the views that I'm getting. Some of the videos I put out get over 1,800 views, which is a lot. To me, it's a lot, especially new in this. Maybe to some other guys that have been doing it for the past few years, you know, that's nothing, especially if they got 30,000 views, and thumbs up to them. But I'm not there yet. But eventually I know I'll get there. So in the meantime, it's going to end this video, like I said, on this segment of this car. And actually tomorrow we'll start a new one. And Sunday morning I'll post another one. And I even got Puss in Boots at my feet, believe it or not. But until then, try to get something done. And once again, I do appreciate people watching.